From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. Direct and live from Santa Monica, California this morning. In this recording, we'll go over the Build Back Better Act that Joe Biden says he's sending out checks. He's ready to send out those checks to millions of Americans and to get them out as soon as possible. So says spokesperson in new comments. We'll be looking at the CR for stimulus 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Plus 4.0 heating up. That, of course, is the Russian sanctions bill. As now, Russia is now likely to invade Ukraine, says U.S. intelligence to foreign ambassadors. So the latest details on that today as well. Breaking news. Then we'll look at the opportunity for the President of the United States to repurpose existing money, to send it out as checks, and then the opportunity to raise your benefits up $200. It's SS200. A campaign promise from Joe Biden, likely heading to the reality right now. But in a big recording, we'll also show you at the very end of this recording how to get money, lots of it, thousands of dollars. It's third stimulus. We got a lot of this recording. The Build Back Better Act, CR for stimulus, how to get big cash in your hand today. Viewers have gotten $10,000 to $20,000 of this in the last few weeks. And then we've gotten everything else missing, like lobster shorts and bacon. You know, the things that are missing sometimes belong to be missing, except my bacon. But other than that, we're ready to rock and roll. It's a big, bold, beautiful morning. I'm excited you're here, and the deliciousness starts right here, right now, as the Morning LA gets underway, direct from Santa Monica, California, live, starting this morning. And away we go. How are you? Good morning, everybody. The House has passed the recon of the Build Back Better Act. It has now been sent to the Senate, but guess what? Has been sent to the Senate as well. Also, CRs for Stimulus 2.0. Wow, this is exciting. The opportunity to send out money to you in a continuing resolution or version of it to be merged on the Senate side with a 3.0 version. Yes, Republicans and Democrats working hand in hand. What has happened? What is this new element of bipartisanship? I'll explain the latest details. But no time or place to wait for that because third stimulus is still paying out money. And I'll show you how to get on average lots of money. Viewers have gotten $10,000 to $20,000 this week after they got to $45,000 earlier. Then we'll be looking at the opportunity to raise your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security and rental benefits. That additional $200 promised to you since 2020. Well, guess what? The 2.0 version is heating up in the second half of this video. So much money, so little time, one recording, one channel. I'm excited you're here, but first I need you to do me a favor. Go under this video and subscribe. You're watching the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. Subscribe and bring us to number 2. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. The link is under the video. Meantime, sign up for those LA alerts. The link is also under this video. We have a lot to cover in this video. A lot of money and a lot of moolah and a lot of bills, all very exciting, and many have now passed. We're going to look at each of them one at a time, but first we're going to start with the incredible Build Back Better Act that passed in the House back in November, now in the Senate, and that has at least $50,000 to $60,000 a check, starting from at least $15,000. Then we're going to go over each of those 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Let's look at them right now. You're ready? Here we go. In cluster number 1, they got it in there. Hazard pay for my essential workers, 1 more year across the board. Extended under third stimulus. $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 to care for young children. They got the CTC, $3,600, the child tax credit in there as well. The $550 check for the Pell Grant recipients. And then the home repairs if you live in a low-income community. Wow, that is incredible. And that is just the first of 3 clusters of checks. Now let's turn to the first add-on. And it comes from Maxine Waters here in Southern California. She wanted to give you this big sums of money. And what is it? It is $25,000, just a little bit less, to purchase your first home. Wow. This is money given from the from the federal government to the seller in your name at the time of escrow. It is huge. And that money got in there. Wow, that is incredible. Then again, this is money given from the federal government to the seller at the time of escrow in your name for the purchase of your first home. That is the first of three add-ons. Now let's turn to the second cluster of checks. Wow, it's getting exciting, and we're just getting started. In the second cluster, we have in there the home repairs and the paid leave. These home repairs are to weatherize your home, and the paid leave, boy, folks, that's a lot of money. It is if you have to stay home due to sickness or illness. How much money is it? It is $1,700 a week. $1,700 a week. You heard me right. If you make $70,000 or more per year, if you make $35,000 or more per year, it's $400 a week. And if you make $15,000 or more per year, it's $400 a week. Wow. How many weeks? 46 weeks per year. That is a lot. It is about $46,000 a year. W-2, 1099. You all get it. Now, this is if you have to stay home from work due to illness. But if you don't work and your son or daughter does, and they're part of the household, then they get the check if you have to stay, if they have to stay home to take you to the doctor. Wow, that is incredible. And that is paid leave. That tees us up for the second add-on of checks. And you know who that comes from, Bob Casey. It's for free home health care. You remember the number? Write in the live chat right now how much that number is. I bet you remember it is. Oh, I saw someone write it. It is $250 billion of free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Wow. It's a campaign promise, and it got in there, $250 billion of free home health care for seniors, people on disabilities. Now let's turn to the third cluster of checks. Free school meals for all checks. Free internet checks. Money for farmers checks. Money for an independent contractor checks. And then seniors. They got a lots of checks, first on the House, then on the Senate side. On the House side, they got the Medicaid gap fix and also the hearing aid checks. But on the Senate side, they vowed to add in there dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course of when we're talking about a House versus Senate, because guess what? Those senators represent, they have a lot of checks to add to this incredible recon. And among the many checks they want to add to this recon are three letters. If you're in the live chat right now, write those three letters. I think you know what they are. There we are. Someone just wrote it. It's MSC. First, what is it? How much is it? Who gets it? Where does it go? How do you get it? And all those incredible details. We're going to go over it right now. MSC stands for Monthly IRS Stimulus Check, not monthly sugar-free chocolate cake. Which is almost as delicious. This is a program that would insert itself into the Forced Stimulus Recon, the Build Back Better Act, that would send out checks on a monthly basis. Well, who would get these checks? The legislators, the senators, tell tens of thousands of viewers of this channel since the month of May that the eligibility would be the same as a third stimulus check. So what was that eligibility? It was the following. Single individuals, $75,000 or less, get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less annual income, get it. Family of four, they get it as well. Quadruple it. Family, married couple, double it, of course. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, you get it as well. Adult dependents would also get it. It is not income. It is not taxable. It's offered on a nationwide basis. No state would prevent it from delivering itself because it comes from the federal government. And there you go. The next question, of course, is how much? Legislators represent $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months, and there we rock and roll. That is MSC. So then the next question is, how do they get it in there? The way they get it in there is through the Senate modifications during the Senate subcommittee. Let's go over those notions right now, and we're going still more on the Build Back Better Act. That's where we are still right now. It's the Forced Stimulus Recon. The Build Back Better Act, the way they would insert this is during a Senate subcommittee. They sent it to the subcommittee, and then the Senate subcommittee would modify the language of the legislation because they haven't done that yet. They have a lot to modify and add in there. And then once they're finished and added in there, they call for a Senate floor vote, then 2-day vote-a-rama. We're done. Off to the president to sign it. But that is the opportunity of the Build Back Better Act. Is there another opportunity? And there is. It's called CR for Stimulus. It was returned back to this channel 3 Saturdays ago, and that time I said to viewers, do you want it back? And they said, oh my goodness, what a great idea. It debuted on this channel in December 2020 and made history. Well, 3 Saturdays ago, I brought it back on air, and since then, legislators have talked about their version, which we're going to go over in just a second. CR for Stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. But first, let's go over what this whole thing is by looking back to the year 2020. In 2020, we had a first stimulus package. It had passed. It had been law. It had sent out money. But by the spring, we needed more money. The pandemic was still going on. And so we were told that they were working on a second stimulus package, thousands of pages in length. Negotiators at the time were Nancy Pelosi on behalf of the Democrats, Speaker of the House out of San Francisco, and Steve Mnuchin on behalf of the Republicans out of New York, negotiating in the spring, no deal. Then the fall, no deal. Then the winter, no deal. By December, still no deal. So finally, I thought to myself, we got to get another solution. And I thought about what we needed. We needed first a big opportunity to have something that goes bipartisan. Second, that has an inherent deadline. Third, that's a bill, just a couple hundred pages in length, and not a massive package. And I looked high and low, and I found it, a continuing resolution. A continuing resolution, why does this work? Because a continuing resolution is a body of legislation done by Congress every approximately 3 to 6 months, and what it does is to fund the federal government. By funding the federal government, it goes by bipartisan support, and it's just a couple hundred pages in length. Inherently, it has a deadline. A few days, a week, maybe a month, but not several months, because the federal government cannot shut down or default. No Republican nor Democrat wants that to ever to happen. And that is why a continuing resolution is a logical place to put something in there if you want to use a deadline. So I delivered on air. I first thought before I delivered on air how to advocate for this and what the criticism would be. And then I made the first recording. It was December 2020. I said, hey, everybody, it's LA, and I have an idea. This second stimulus package is not finishing, and we need checks. What if we put into something else? Here's that something else. I've come up with the idea for you called CR for Stimulus, inserting a stimulus check into the continuing resolution. It has an inherent deadline because it's due in December 2020. It's small, just a few hundred pages long. It's bipartisan, and it won't get rolled over. You like the idea? Viewers love the idea. I said, go campaign and go on social media and campaign and advocate for it. Hashtag CR for Stimulus. If you're in the live chat right now, post that hashtag campaign. Well, viewers did, but immediately the negative reaction came in. The criticism anticipated, and the criticism was, it don't belong in there, LA. It's a continuing resolution. It doesn't belong in there. I know it doesn't belong in there. Doesn't mean you can't put it in there. Since the beginning of time, Congress has passed legislation where they inserted provisions in the legislation doesn't belong in there. They had a COVID relief bill that proposed money for foreign military governments. Doesn't belong in there. They had a COVID relief bill that proposed to fund the Department of Copyrights. It doesn't belong in there. And they had a COVID relief bill to build a new FBI building. Doesn't belong in there. Doesn't mean we can't put our checks in there. And so we pushed and we advocated. And then we woke up one morning and we're told stimulus is in the continuing resolution. We thought we had won. Till we looked and realized, oh no, it's unemployment stimulus. Got to push again. So we did push again, and then finally it got in there. A $600 stimulus check received by millions of Americans was the result of the creation of this channel. It was put into the continuing resolution of December 2020 and was mailed out that month, and you received it. Case in point, there never was a second stimulus package. It never went to a vote, it never got a deal, and it never mailed a check. Thank goodness for CR for Stimulus 2020. So 3 Saturdays ago, I delivered on air, do you want it back? And viewers said yes. And so since then, we've been advocating for it. But immediately the reaction was very positive because in less than 7 days, the House Democrats said, you know what? We like the Build Back Better Act from Joseph Biden. We like it. We believe it's going to get done. But we need other pieces, plural, of legislation, economic legislation that can send out money right across the board. And what did they do? They said within 24 hours, the first one would be coming. And they passed it. The next day, they passed the first one in the House, sent to the Senate. That piece of legislation was the first of many coming in the horizon from Pete Aguilar, vice chair of the Democrat caucus, saying that we do need economic recovery legislation. There's absolute pieces of legislation that we're going to get done to alleviate the supply chain issues and deal with inflationary pressure. And this was the first. But the great news continued thereafter. As soon as it landed in the Senate, the senator said, we have our version and we're going to merge them together. Wow. That's CR for Stimulus 3.0. It's coming up after the commercial break. Then Russia, Vladimir Putin, and the potential invasion of Ukraine became the subject matter of a congressional potential bill, CR for Stimulus 4.0. I'll have the latest details on that and the breaking details, of course, of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine after this commercial break, and why CR for Stimulus 4.0 is heating up and why that is also still a likelihood. Then we got more exciting news, as the president can repurpose existing funds of money and send it out to you as checks. Whoa. It's coming up after the commercial break, and then we'll be looking at SS200, a campaign promise to provide $200 a month for people on benefits across the board, 6 to 12 months, $1,200 approximately. I'm going to show you how Joseph Biden can do this right today and give it to you a lifetime. Wow, that is huge. And you're only hearing it on LALATE. Then we'll be looking back at the fourth stimulus recon and the big checks you can get today from third stimulus. Tens of thousands of dollars have been gotten by viewers this week, and those checks can be gotten by you as well. We got a big second half of this video. I'm excited you're here. The excitement is just heating up. Stay with me as the second half of the video heats up with all these incredible checks. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. As the breaking news live from Santa Monica continues about all these checks Joseph Biden wants to send out, I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. As Mornings LA continues, direct from Santa Monica, California, this big, bold, beautiful morning. And here we go. Here first is a little bit about the community page.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues right now as Mornings LA continues live on air direct from Santa Monica, California, this big, bold, beautiful day. CR for Stimulus 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0 heating up with the opportunity to insert a stimulus check in those four pieces of ancillary legislation. I'm excited for those Senate changes because guess what? A new element of bipartisanship is upon us to get checks to the American people. Wow, where did this come from? It's breaking news. And then we'll be looking at the big checks you can get today from third stimulus and the repurposing of money that Joe Biden can do, plus SS200. This is a lifetime of more benefits, and you'll see my personal commentary coming up in the second half of this video. It's a brand new commentary, and it's a brand new insight you've never seen before. All that and the opportunity to get tens of thousands of dollars today. There's a lot of checks coming up in the second half of this video, folks. I'm excited you're here, but first, I want you to subscribe. Go right on this video right now and subscribe. You're watching LALATE, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Thank you for all the new subscribers this week. We have been on fire. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. The membership link is under the video. Sign up today and become a member of this channel. Get an incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and sign up for the LA alerts. They're totally free, a link to which is under the video's description. And with that, let's go into the second half of this video, which is leaving off at where we stopped at CR for Stimulus 1.0. So, CR for Stimulus, back in the mix on this channel 3 weeks ago, which is the concept of inserting a stimulus check in the continuing resolution that has a current deadline of mid to late February. So this is very fascinating. That's 1.0. What is the latest update on this? First, the great news is that Chuck Schumer has a short list of things he wants to do before the President's Day weekend. And this is on that short list. That's good. Number 2, Senator John Tester, Democrat, Montana, says he believes it's going to get done this month because we only need 4 people to agree upon a number. And they agree upon the number, we're ready to rock and roll. Who are those 4 people? They are Mitch, Chuck, Leahy, and a Republican. So you want to advocate to Leahy and Schumer. It's Patrick Leahy, Senate Democrat, Vermont, and Chuck Schumer, Senate Democrat, New York. Advocate for 3 things. 1, get the continuing resolution done this month and don't roll it over. Number 2, insert a stimulus check in there. You did it in December 2020. You can do it again. We've had your back on the Build Back Better Act all these months. It's not going to get done this month, Bill back. So why not get a check into continuing resolution? We have your support. We have your support in the Senate. Get it done and get it out there. And there you go. That is 1.0. Now, what's the update on 2.0? Over on the House side, we had the great news from the Representative Pete Aguilar here in California, who got CR for Stimulus 2.0 passed. This is an economic piece of legislation. What I mean by economic, in comparison to the Build Back Better Act that has social reform like dental, vision, and hearing, this also has economic reform. This is pure economic reform. So this is one of many pieces of legislation that passed in the House on that Friday. Well, guess what? As soon as it went to the Senate Republicans were vowed, this is good news. What? Excuse me? Did I hear that right? Yes. After House Democrats passed CR for Stimulus 2.0, the Senate Republicans said that's great news because we're working on our piece of legislation. Really? That we're looking to merge them together. Oh my goodness. Do this quickly. Wow. And get it out the door. What is this element of bipartisanship? The element of bipartisanship abounds right across the land, is brand new. It started in the last 7 days, and it's manifested itself big time today. Why? Because Republicans and Democrats both understand that there's economic pressures at hand. And those economic pressures at hand need to be alleviated by legislation passed, not by just simply saying something. And that's why Democrats and Republicans both want to show something to pass. It's huge. And that's why that is happening with number 2 and 3. Well, what's the update on CR for Stimulus 4.0? This is where we turn to the Russia-Ukraine U.S. sanctions legislation. Again, small bill, bipartisan, fast. Bob Menendez on behalf of the Democrats and Marco Rubio on behalf of the Republicans want to pass this very quickly. And what is this? To sanction Vladimir Putin for putting 100,000 U.S. troops at the Russian-Ukraine border. Well, the breaking news you're hearing for the first time on this channel on Mornings LA Live is that U.S. intelligence now believes that Russia will invade Ukraine this coming week. I've been covering this subject matter on this channel for upwards of 3 months. I told you it was going to happen. I told you he would go ahead with it, Vladimir Putin, and that the U.S. and world financial markets will crash dramatically when it happens. They took a big hit yesterday when the first reports came out from PBS of this potential looming invasion now manifests itself in indications from U.S. intelligence it's going to happen this week. They actually know the day and week that they think it's going to happen. They say it's this week, and that's why this Russian sanctions bill needs to get done and will get done. It was earlier this last week where I said Surprisingly, it was not on Chuck Schumer's short list of things to be done this week. I said, how could you miss it? He's potentially going to invade. You want the sanctions bill to be done before he invades, not after he invades. So I believe that even though it may have not been on the short list a week ago, it's certainly on the short list today. That CR for symbols 1, 2, and 3, and 4.0. Now, what's important to understand is that each of them is not necessarily a CR. They all work on the same concept, which is get a piece of legislation out the door that you can insert a check in there that goes by bipartisanship and it's a fast inherent deadline. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4.0. Now, let's turn to some other credible, exciting news. Does the president have the ability to repurpose existing funds of money and send it out to you as checks? He does. Joseph Biden, the president of the United States, has that ability, and we're going to go over it right now. What is this? Well, when government establishes programs by act of Congress, by law, those programs are set to run for a certain duration, let's say 6 to 12 months. Those programs are also given funds of money, let's say $200 billion. Once the program is done, the time has lapsed, where does the money go? Well, if there's leftover money, it goes nowhere. It stays in that agency until someone tells them repurpose the money. And many times the programs have leftover money. So we saw this twice during the Trump administration. First, FEMA was given a lot of money for COVID initially, and then the programs were over and the money was still there. Donald Trump, meantime, had an issue. He wanted to give additional weeks of unemployment benefits, boost FPUC, but he needed to go back to Congress. He didn't. No one would want to. So he said, who has extra money? FEMA, you have extra money? I'm going to repurpose your extra money as unemployment assistance. Sound crazy? You can do it. And it became LWA. It went out. And people got unemployment assistance from repurposing FEMA money that was otherwise passed for disaster relief. Then he had a second opportunity. He passed it up, and I think it cost him the presidential campaign. This was money that was sitting at SBA for corporations and businesses. SBA programs were over, but the money was still there. It was a lot of it. It was confirmed. I confirmed it. Steve Mnuchin confirmed it. Larry Kudlow confirmed it. It was $550 billion. It could have been repurposed as 2 stimulus checks to land in your hand before you vote in the presidential elections. I think you would have voted for a different person had that person sent you 2 stimulus checks minutes before you voted. Yeah. He didn't do it, Donald Trump, and ultimately the money is no longer there. So for Joe Biden to do this right now, all we have to do is find another pot of money. Viewers have been sending me private messages finding some money. If you can find additional pots of money from programs that have now ended that can be repurposed, send me a private message on social media and I'll feature it on air. And that is how Joe Biden can repurpose money for programs that have now ended and send it out to you as checks. Which then brings us to the other idea, which is SS200. Wow. It has now been over 2 years since we first learned about SS200. What is it? In January 2020, Elizabeth Warren was one of many presidential campaigners running for the highest office in the land. She was running for president. And in running for president, she was proposing to reform the Social Security Administration by doing a lot of things, among them providing you $200 a month on top of your existing benefits for COVID relief that would run 6 to 12 months, about $1,200. She then introduced it to the floor of the Senate with Chuck, Ron Wyden, and others, not as a bill, but as a proposal. Then she withdrew for her run for campaign. The president said, I like Liz's idea. I'm going to incorporate it from my idea, make it part of my platform. He put it in writing. He said it. Then he won the electoral vote. During his transition papers from president-elect to president, he wrote it out again, saying that millions of Americans who are seniors and people on disabilities, on benefits, need an additional $200 a month right now as a benefit. It did not happen. It did not happen. So I noticed it did not happen. Guess who also didn't notice it didn't happen? Democratic senators. So they said, you know what, Joe, you didn't put it, you haven't done it. You've been in office for a few months, so we're going to do it as another recon. We're going to do it as a fifth stimulus recon and send that money out to the American people. Now, what have I found across the land? The kid here in LA has found the opportunity to do this easier without a bill, without a recon, and without an act of Congress. All it needs is a phone call. to raise your benefits up for SS 200. Now, Act of Congress is needed still for removing the asset cap, removing the income cap, and removing the marriage penalty. But raising your benefits up $200 more per month doesn't need it. How does this work? Let's go over the idea. There are several agencies, federal agencies, that are established under the Charter Agreement where they determine how they run themselves. You don't need Congress to tell them how to tie their shoelaces or pour their cup of coffee. They determine it themselves. Now, they can get a little bit of a push, a little bit of a phone call, and that can come from the President of the United States. Guess who's done this before? Joe Biden. He picked up the phone and contacted the Department of Agriculture in October of last year saying, you determine how to pay SNAP. I can't tell you how to do it, but I want to tell you, you're not paying enough. Pay more. Well, guess what? He can do this as well with your benefits. And guess what? He put the person in charge of benefits in office a year ago this month. Remember Commissioner Saul? Yeah, Joe Biden didn't like him. He was a Trump appointee. Kicked him, fired him out. He thought he couldn't fire. A lot of people thought he couldn't fire him. He still fired him, put someone else in there. All he has to do is pick up the phone and call the replacement saying, hey, it's Joe again. I gave you that job. I want you to do the following. Replace COLA with a new benchmark inflation and do it within 30 days. If that person on the other side of the phone says yes, then hello, away you go. You get $200 more per month. Not just 6 to 12 months, but lifetime. And that is absolutely incredible. That is SS 200. COLA is currently 5.9%. It's a bad benchmark. It usually doesn't move, but it gave you 5.9% lift from the previous year right now. With inflation, you would get 7.5%. 7.5 versus 5.9, it's about $200 more per month compared to the month before. Now, one thing I want to make very clear to you is that inflation goes up every year. It's 2 to 3% every year. So you're going to get more money next year as well. And it's that simple. I have a commentary on this, and I can't believe I'm making this commentary, but I have to make the commentary. For some reason, since the start of day one of this channel, every time I talk about something for SSI and SSDI and Social Security, there is always, in every video, 1 to 3 people that take the ability of the channel, the ability of the president or Congress to send you more money and say it's a bad thing. I just can't believe I'm making this video. They say it's a bad thing. And they say that, well, if you give me more money, it's a bad thing because this bad thing is happening. I don't know. I don't know where giving people money is a bad thing. So if you don't want to hear about getting more money, then, there's a door down the street. Open the door and just run for it. Needless to say, it's untrue. Getting more money is not a bad thing. And if you don't want an extra $2,400 a year, which is what this would be, we have a list we're forming. And it's viewers who do want the $2,400 a year. So you know what, you're in that money, put your name on the list. We'll mark you down as someone who does not want $2,400 extra per year, and we will give it to someone else. And you don't get the chocolate cake from this channel either. So there we go. All right, let's turn back to the other incredible great news, which is third stimulus. Third stimulus is still paying out money, and it's paying out viewers a lot of money, $10,000 to $20,000 a week. New viewer, $10,000 to $20,000 a viewer. Every week, another cluster of more people get this money. What is it? It is rent, utilities, food, and internet and mortgages. Let's go over it. Zooming right now. We'll be featuring it later on this channel today. The rent you're going to get from 6 places. You're ready? If you're a member, pull out that newsletter. If you're not, become a member. The link is under the video. Here is the money for rent. Wow. This is the money back in the month of October. You're going to reach out to 6 places. You ready? City Hall, City Housing Authority, County Hall, County Housing Authority, State Hall, State Housing Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You're going to do 3 things. You must get money from all 3 places. You must get application on file, and you must get multiple rounds. You want to get a round as far out as possible into the month of May. Get utility assistance because of COVID. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $15,000 a year. And then get SNAP. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $25,000 a year over 10 years. It's $250,000. You get SNAP from Department of Agriculture. It is money for your food. Then get combo items. Mark got 2 items at 32. I told him to get 3. He went to 100,000. Then he went to over 100,000 from 50,000. Lorraine, she was at 105, and now she's at 120. Coming up next is Noontime LA. This video will automatically take you there. And then we have Afternoons LA at 1 o'clock, the Afternoons LA show at 3 o'clock. Then we got Evenings LA with a 5, 6, 7, and 8 o'clock show. And then we go into Overnights LA as well. Continue to advocate to Leahy and Schumer for those provisions for CR for stimulus. We have a great day, and with that, I want you to subscribe. Bring this channel from number 3 to number 2. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and have a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend and week. Join me next as Noontime LA heats up. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and stay with LA for more.